Get over here!
Quick question. Is it possible to revive characters?
I don't think so. I think they disappear from the map when they die.
Okay.
So I don't think there's a revive function.
Okay, yeah, because that is actually,
Healing, yes, but once they hit 0.
Yeah, because that is actually the way it's handled in, Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced, where, like, if they're down, there's still a piece on the board. So you can use Phoenix Downs or the Raise spell to bring them back into the fight.
No, as I recall, they disappear from the board. Now, Valkyria Chronicles...
Yeah, Valkyria Chronicles I know does that.
When a character goes down, they stay there. And what's annoying is that game does have permadeath, so they won't die if they're knocked out, but if they get hit by something again while they're knocked out, they're perma-killed.
Oh, okay, so it's like, it's a coup de grace,
yeah.
It's a coup de grace ruling.
Or more like, if an enemy, like, moves... It doesn't even have to be an attack. Like, if an enemy, like, moves up to them, it, like, coup de grace them. Which, there's, like, 5 characters that are plot critical that it's a game over if it happens to one of them. But then, for the side characters, it'll just, like, take them away from you forever if they die there. They're treated as dead.
Right.
Because there's a lot of, like, smaller characters that have names but aren't really involved in the story.
There's another tactic-heavy game that treats it that way, too. It's another tactical shooter. What's it called again?
You're talking about XCOM?
Yeah, XCOM.
Yeah. XCOM has permadeath. XCOM is kind of like the Darkest Dungeon style of, like, recruiting units and then they can die.
Yeah.
And then you need to recruit new units. So there's a never-ending supply of units coming in, but if it's somebody you've invested a lot of time in. Plus, XCOM, I believe, has, like, events that happen that you need to, like, have a certain amount done in the campaign by a certain amount of time, otherwise the aliens win.
Ah, okay.
Like, you're trying to prevent global catastrophe.
Right.
Whereas Darkest Dungeon, like, there are some things that can degrade, but for the most part, you have as long as you need. So, if you lose one of your favorite man-at-arms, you can, spend 6 weeks training up a new one.
No matter how badly the situation gets in Darkest Dungeon, you do have the opportunity and the time to build yourself back up. It's just it's one of those things where it's like when you suffer a huge loss in Darkest Dungeon, the punishment is not, oh, you're going to lose the game. It's now you have to spend more time rebuilding your resources in order to, like, build yourself back up to the point where you can start beating the game.
The only thing, because you unlock buildings in the homestead, and those stay up permanently, except freaking Brigand Wolf can show up.
Yeah.
And if you don't deal with him, he burns your buildings to the ground, and you lose, like, progression on those.
Yeah, no, dude, like, when Wolf shows up, he is a kill-on-sight
it's like,
boss.
Screw that guy.
Like, you need to deal with him right then and there. If I recall correctly, though, when you face... Like, I could be wrong on this, right?
Yeah.
When you face Wolf, there is, it doesn't matter, from what I'm to understand, right? It doesn't matter whether you win or lose to Wolf. You just have to encounter him in order to stop him from burning down your buildings.
Yeah, but you can't run away from a fight until at least one person has died.
Yeah.
So once you've encountered Wolf, you're going to lose at least one party member, or you're going to successfully kill Wolf. But that's enough to keep him busy that he can't burn down.
Yeah, basically, it's like, okay, by that point, the homestead has, like, reestablished its defenses. It's gotten, like, it's gotten to a situation where, okay, we can, like, reasonably defend it here, so Wolf's not going to be able to have a chance anymore.
Yeah, I've TPK'd against Wolf, but still saved the homestead because I kept him busy.
Yeah, same here. Because that's the thing, like, that I actually do kind of like how Wolf kind of, like, shakes things up a bit, especially because, again, you don't have to necessarily beat him.
It's a good mechanic for Darkest Dungeon, because Darkest Dungeon is
yeah, you don't have to.
It's a very antagonistic game.
It very much is, but, like, at the same time, like, much like a lot of the other bosses in the game, right? If you know what to do against Wolf, he's not hard. Wolf is like arguably one of the most dangerous enemies, like, in Darkest Dungeon, from what I'm to understand. only if you don't know what you're doing. Specifically because, like, he does a gross amount of damage, and he can overwhelm you very easily. If you have a good comp against him, and, like, you, like, know what to look for, he's actually not that difficult.
Yeah, my team for him is Man-at-Arms for protection, Vestal for healing, and then Bounty Hunter and Houndmaster, because both of them have Mark and have abilities that do extra damage to humans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Man-at-Arms is, like, my must-have on the fight against Volk, because he's just way too good when it comes to dealing with his bombs.
Yeah.
In a similar vein, actually, Houndmaster's also good against him because of Guard Dog.
Yeah.
So, like, if you can get a pretty decent dodge tank, and, like, use, like, a tankier unit like either Leper or Man-at-Arms to, like, you know, take up a couple of other hits, like, that, like, you got a pretty good setup against Wolf.
Oh my gosh, so we were talking about tabletop games recently.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Dark Souls tabletop game?
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact.
Have you ever played it?
I've never played it.
It's really interesting, actually.
Uh-huh.
Because the experience is a lot like... It's a cooperative team game.
Yeah.
And you're going into rooms and there are encounters and you're moving your characters around the board and attacking and rolling dice. And what's funny is, whenever you do something to rest, it respawns the encounters in all the rooms, so you have to do them again. So, like, it is very much like playing Dark Souls and, like, learning where the encounters are and, learning how to, like, best circumvent them. But it's got this mechanic, so anytime you're getting attacked, you can either block or you can dodge. Now, if you block, you roll your block dice. Depending on your character and their equipment, you'll get so many different block dice.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, they roll an attack of 6. Your max health is 10. But if you're blocking, you get to roll your block dice. So maybe you'll roll, like, a 4, so you get to subtract 4 from their 6, and now you only take 2 damage. So you're probably still taking some damage, but if you're a character that's good at blocking, you can prevent a lot of it.
Yeah.
The alternative is if you're playing a more roguey character, you might want to go with the dodge action. So when you're doing the dodge action, it becomes instead...
You either take
use a dodge die, it's a 50-50 shot, and you either take all of the damage or you take none of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I've never actually played the Dark Souls, tabletop. I've heard of it, however, from, like, a couple friends of mine.
It's very hard. I played it with our friend Dan and Isaac, and Allie's played with us a few times, and Dylan's played with us a few times, and we've never even been able to get to the halfway point, because there's, like, you have to fight a mini boss, then you have to fight a big boss, and yeah, they're ridiculous. I don't remember what mini bosses we fought. Like, I think we got, like, Capra Demon one time and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
With the bosses, there's, like, an Ornstein and Smaug fight. There's a all the ones you expect.
Yeah. Oh man, like, you reminded me, like, one of my favorite videos that I've ever watched on YouTube. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are aware of this, but have you ever watched the Dork Souls video?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think I've really watched it.
It's the video with, like, the boss fight of Ornstein and Smaug, and it's Ed, Edd and Eddy sound effects and, like, voice clips.
Oh yes, I have actually.
That is easily one of my favorite videos on YouTube because
like, one of them
God.
falls and then the other one has, like, Ed's voice being like, "You hurt Eddie!"
Yeah. They had it so that Ornstein and Smaug was Rolf and Kevin. And
that was it.
And the hunter was Ed. And just, oh my god. I don't know who edited that video, but dude, like, give yourself a pat on the back because that shit is funny.
So who's the most powerful kid in the cul-de-sac? Who would win the battle royale of the Ed, Edd and Eddy cul-de-sac?
Oh, goodness.
Because Ed was maybe the strongest, but he, most of the time, couldn't be motivated to hurt people. It was only when he got mad, when he was in a bad mood, that he was, like, unstoppable.
Alternatively, as a matter of fact, there was that time where he became the monster of the cul-de-sac, and he actually legitimately, kidnapped every single kid in the cul-de-sac, like, single-handedly. And, like, was a huge-ass threat. Like, even, like, Ed and Double D couldn't stop. Eddie and Double D couldn't stop him. On the other hand,
Sarah hard counters Ed.
Sarah does hard counter Ed. That's the thing. Ed would never hurt Sarah unless in extraneous circumstances, like he was, like, you know, the monster, or when he was angry, right? Get Ed angry enough, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not hard to do. You just have to put a rock in his shoe. He could easily, like, take on every single person in the cul-de-sac.
It would be easy for other competitors to avoid getting him mad enough.
Yes,
it's like the, like, don't give Psyduck a headache kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't make Bruce Banner mad.
Like, okay, immediately right out of the gate, I'm going to rule out Jimmy, because while Jimmy has proven to be quite capable in very specific circumstances, the kid's a coward.
Yeah.
Like, the kid is a wuss.
Yeah.
Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So, it's just a matter of,
I think we can eliminate Jimmy.
I think we can also eliminate, Johnny 2x4, because Johnny has a very, very easy counter in taking Plank hostage.
Yeah.
Like, if you take Plank hostage, like, Johnny's a sitting duck.
I feel like if you made an alliance with Johnny, it could pay off because Johnny can annoy people.
I mean, yes.
But he's not gonna do a lot by himself.
Yeah, no, not at all by himself. Kevin has the advantage of, like, having his bike. So, like, he could easily, like, mow down, like, so many, like, other, like...
These are, like, your starting builds in Fortnite. Like, you drop in as Kevin, you get the bike.
The
other thing, though... I think Kevin's kind of a ponce. He's kind of he talks a big game, but, like...
That is
when
true.
the cards are down, he's, like, always the first one to run off. Like...
That is true. Like, he's kind of, like, middle of the road when it comes to, like, viability, because, like, he
Kevin's a bully, but he's a bully because he's insecure.
Yeah, he is athletic, though. Like, the
Yeah.
dude has enough athleticism to be able to, like, handle, like, you know, certain, like, world records. Like, the dude is no slouch on his bike.
Yeah.
So, like, there is that.
I think we can eliminate Naz.
Naz, like, here's the thing, like, Naz's whole character, and I hate to say this, right, because this sounds like very, like, derivative. Like, Naz was basically the pretty girl.
Yeah, she was the girl.
Like, of the cul-de-sacs.
Sarah was also the girl, but Naz was, like, the girl that, like, if they needed a girl for people to fight over, it was Naz.
Yeah, which they did a whole episode on.
Yeah.
I'm also going to rule out... Okay. I'm also going to rule out Double D.
I think that's fair.
Because, like, while Double D can be very clever, a lot of his cleverness comes from avoiding danger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think he would necessarily be all too,
He might be camped somewhere with, like, gadgets protecting him, but, like... Eventually you have to go on the offensive, and I just don't...
Yeah.
I don't think he could do that.
Yeah, aside from that, he ain't doing much.
Yeah.
Eddie
is useless without the other two Eds.
Yeah, no, like, no question asked. Like,
he's a great leader, but if he doesn't have somebody to lead, he can't really... His conniving isn't gonna work.
See, that's the funny thing, though. Like, I am not entirely sure if I would call Eddie a good leader. He is good at, like, you know, convincing others to follow his lead, but that doesn't make him a good leader. It makes him a charismatic leader.
Yeah, he's a grifter.
Yeah. Like, as the show basically showcases, the dude's a scam artist.
Yeah.
Like, we had a conversation one time, like, I had a conversation with Amber one time about, like, what the characters from Ed, Edd n Eddy would grow up to be as. And Eddie would totally be a car salesman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, no question.
He is on the fast track to selling cars.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think our big contenders, we got Eddie, we got Rolf.
Rolf definitely is up there.
Not Eddie. Not Eddie, Ed.
Yeah, Ed is up there. Rolf is definitely up there.
I think we can eliminate Sarah. She hard counters Ed, but that's the only interesting thing about her.
like she has like that opposite charisma to Eddie, where Eddie tries to swindle you. Sarah intimidates you.
Yeah, but Sarah can threaten to tell mom.
Unlike Kevin, who does have that athleticism behind him, Sarah is definitely all bark and no bite. Like, she talks a big game, but, like, really, she doesn't do much.
So it's Rolf, it's Ed...
Honestly, it's between those two.
And it's the Cankers.
Oh, God, yeah, the Canker sisters. I completely forgot about them. Yeah, the Cankers are kind of, like, a huge threat that everyone in the cul-de-sac is afraid of them.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever had, like, a Rolf versus the Cankers episode.
I recall that, like, I know for a fact that, like, Rolf, does kind of sort of fear the Cankers, but, like, not to the same degree.
Because Kevin was afraid of the Cankers.
Yeah, Kevin was definitely afraid of the Cankers. That's the thing, though. Everyone was afraid of the Canker sisters. Yeah. Like, no one liked them. What?
These are the questions, people. These are the questions. The Ed, and Eddie Battle Royale.
Honestly, like, I would have to give it I would have to give it to either Ed or Rolf. And on that aspect, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it to Rolf. Because Ed, you kind of have to put him in a certain situation in order to do damage.
I think it's Rolf, like, 75% of the time.
Yeah, when Rolf sets out to kick ass, he kicks fucking ass.
Yeah.
And, like, the dude's a hard worker. Like, he's carrying pigs around. He's, like, stomping grapes. He's, like, he can use fish as weapons.
He's not just tough, he's farmer tough.
Yeah, no, like, the dude is a son of a shepherd. And, like, he shows it. So, yeah.
So, cartoon fans, drop it down in the comments. Who do you think's winning the Ed and Eddie Battle Royale?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Rolf.
Plank is not admissible. He is an eldritch entity of unknown power. We can't scale him.
Yeah, we cannot fathom. We are unable to fathom the craziness that is. The craziness that is.
We have different theories.
Plank.
Is Plank alive or is it all just Johnny? I personally believe Plank is alive.
That being said, okay, like, I actually am curious as to your opinions on that while we're, like, on the topic, right? So Eddie would grow up to be a car salesman, right?
Yeah.
What would the others grow up to be?
Double D. So I think Double D goes to MIT, applies to work at NASA.
I was thinking NASA, yeah.
But then gets a call from Eddie and, like, ends up, like, dropping it all to help Eddie with something stupid. And then he ends up, like, in, like a radio repair shop or something like that.
Oh, goodness.
Like...
See, like, at least for me personally, I like to think that by the time they've grown up to be adults, I think Double D will have learned to not take all of Eddie's bullshit.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. That's my hope. Yeah. That's my hopeful theory. I think, yeah, like, Double D would absolutely, like, have the brains and the dedication to work for NASA.
When will I learn, Double D? I think you already have.
No, he hasn't. No, he has not.
I think Ed is a... I think Ed makes indie movies, and he makes the weirdest, schlockiest horror movies you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, I can totally see
like,
that.
Like, he becomes, like, a John Carpenter style, like...
My theory, actually, would be, he would grow up to own a comic shop, or, like, work at a comic book store.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Like, that's what I think. Like, he would be the type to work at a comic book store.
Yeah.
Okay, so Vanessa's out of range of options, but we're just gonna have to deal.
I think Johnny takes his show on the road, and him and Plank are comedians.
Yeah, I can see that. Ventriloquism.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely ventriloquism.
Yeah, Plank makes Johnny talk. That's the act.
Yeah, I can totally see. I can totally see Johnny being like comedian ventriloquist.
Johnny's just like sitting there, like with Plank behind him. Johnny's like moving his mouth, but like nothing's coming out, and everybody in the audience is like, "What is happening?"
On the other hand, a bit more of an optimistic one. I feel like Johnny would maybe become something along the lines of not a wildlife conservationist, but like someone who like protects the forest.
Okay,
like Smokey the Bear type of thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like a park ranger.
Yeah, I can totally see Park Ranger.
Yeah. And I think Jimmy becomes like a modern dancer.
Oh yeah, like modern dancer or like a thespian of some kind.
Yeah.
Like I can totally see Jimmy like making it in like Broadway maybe.
And I think Sarah becomes a politician.
Oh god.
Or like a lawyer. I think Sarah becomes a lawyer.
See, that's way different than what I was thinking. She would become like a school teacher.
I can see that too. Yeah.
These are the questions, people.
These are the questions. I mean, and also none of them become anything anyway because the cul-de-sac is actually like purgatory or something, right?
From what I'm to understand, apparently.
That's like the popular fan theory.
Mm-hmm.
We do see their parents' arms in one episode.
Yeah.
So like their parents do exist.
Maybe just as arms.
Yeah.
You ever watch Cow and Chicken and apparently their parents are just...
Yeah, their legs.
Legs.
That's what, Timmy Turner's parents were originally, too, in Fairly Odd Parents, back when it was, cartoon shorts.
Yeah, that's right. I never understood that design philosophy. Why just legs?
I think it's supposed to create a distance from the characters, so, like, if you want to give the sense that, like, Timmy's parents are never around... Mm-hmm. Then, like, having it that you never see their face kind of, like... is, like, a kind of comedic, kind of artistic way of, like...
Mm-hmm.
Saying, oh, they're never around. But, like, they're not a big part of his life, and that's why he needs godparents. But then, when it became a series proper, they wanted to make them more characters, so they gave them faces.
Okay.
It's also, like, in, it's a little bit of a parody of, like, Muppet Babies and stuff like that, where they had a nanny, but you only ever heard her voice.
Oh god, I remember Muppet Babies. I remember like the remake of Muppet Babies, like eventually later, made the nanny Granny.
Oh, okay, I never saw anything of the reboot.
Yeah, the reboot made it so that their nanny was Granny.
Okay.
Which I think is a good move. Like that just makes a lot of sense.
I know when they rebooted the Rugrats, so they did the like CG television series that was on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
They had all the parents be like the same age they were in the original series, but it took place in modern day. So the grandpa, Lou Pickles, went from being like a World War II vet to being like a 70s like retired hippie. And he's, like, still basically the same guy, but just, like, the stuff he talks about is different.
Yeah.
And also, Stu is a gamer, I think.
Really?
I think I've seen pictures of him holding a controller. I've never watched the show.
Interesting choice. That reminds me of,
Like, instead of Pickles Toys now, it's, like, Pickles Games.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, actually, I was reintroduced to that funny, like... I watched TikTok with Amber, right?
Yeah.
We were reintroduced to that one bit from like Stu and the grandpa, I forget his name, and he's like, "Why do you always lose your keys, dag nabbit? Why do you always sound like a prospector when you're mad? Can't flab it."
There are a lot of good bits from the adults in the original series.
Like. The adults were, like, a huge part of, like, why, like, they were enjoyable. Like, it gave us something to, like, better relate to compared to, like, the babies who, for all intents and purposes, well done, Loot, are basically babies.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Fairly Odd Parents earlier, by the way. Hot take.
Okay.
I liked Cosmo better when he had the deeper voice. In the pilot.
Yeah.
Because, like...
That's fair. I like the voice in, like... I like the higher-pitched voice, but it eventually gets too higher-pitched.
And not just that, but, like, is it just me, or was Pilot Cosmo way smarter?
Pilot Cosmo was smart.
Like,
yeah.
he was actually kind of, like, very clever with a lot of his quips.
Yeah. They say something about, like... when, like, Vicky, like, looks at the fishbowl and, like, shakes it or something like that. Mm-hmm. And Wanda's like, "Nice girl." And Cosmo says, "Yeah, I liked her fangs." Like, it's, like, a very, like...
And when she threatens to flush them, he's like, should we do something? Well, he's got to wish for it first. Ooh, I hate that rule.
Yeah, like...
I'm calling a union meeting.
He wasn't a stupid guy.
He wasn't, and honestly, I kind of liked it that way. That's why, like, during the Abracatastrophe special, when Cosmo got the 5-second massive pecs, it was like a big deal because, oh, hey, new and improved Cosmo, you know?
I'm okay with Cosmo being stupid. What gets old to me is the, like, Cosmo and Wanda hate each other bit that gets in more and more, like, throughout this series, when it's just, like, Wanda nags and Cosmo's, like, stupid and doesn't like her.
I can agree to that, honestly.
Because earlier in the series, there's, like, it's kind of sweet how much they are goofy and love each other, and they, like, they go on, like, this is your fairy life, and Cosmo makes the big speech to his mom about how he loves Wanda, and that she makes me happy, and that should be enough for you.
Like, it goes from odd couple... to just kind of unnecessarily, like, plot significant. Like, they only really, like, start to, like, get annoyed with each other because it services, like, whatever, like, sitcom, like, plot that they had to fulfill at the time.
It goes for much easier joke writing because it's just the same kind of jokes that are in every sitcom.
Which is funny, too, because it's, like, one of the jokes from the pilot is when they're referencing Star Wars. And, like, the obvious joke, Wanda says the Force is strong with this one, and then Cosmo follows up with, I am your father. And then he's like, I've always wanted to say that.
Yeah.
And just that simple delivery was just, that was funny. It's charming, it's funny, I enjoyed that. I kind of wanted more of it, to be honest. Maybe it's also because I just got so used to, like, stupid Cosmo or higher-pitched Cosmo that it kind of made me lament what wasn't there anymore.
Because from season to season, his voice just keeps getting higher. And he just, like, keeps getting, like, more infantile because...
Flanderization.
You need to keep, like, topping the last stupid joke you made for it to still be funny.
Yeah, which
like, isn't actually true, but it's what people think sometimes.
Like, it gets to the point where it's like, okay, how much more can you milk this cow before it's dried up? And that goes with comedy. It's like, you can, like, try and up the ante with the jokes, like, more and more, but when you're doing, like, 1,000+ episodes in a series, you're eventually gonna reach a limit.
A lot of times with stupid characters, kind of what makes them funny is being able to see their logic in something. Like, you brought this one up a lot with, like, older Patrick before Patrick got super flanderized in SpongeBob, where the like, oh, you mean she puts on airs? That's just fancy talk, SpongeBob. Like,
yeah, like high wisdom, or high intelligence, low wisdom type of thing.
Like, he's stupid, but he knows just enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
To think he's smarter.
And, like, Patrick might be my favorite example, or, like, my favorite go-to example for, like, the whole like, case study of flanderization, because, like, you know, I do genuinely miss the way Patrick was, like, in the first couple of seasons. In a similar vein, actually. Do you want to know one series that actually became a cautionary tale of that very same ideal? Llamas with Hats.
Oh,
Because, like, Llamas with Hats was, like, just a funny joke of, like, you know, Carl was, like, more and more, like, progressively getting more and more cruel, more and more crazy. And by the time he nukes a city, it's like, how do you top this? You know? Like, how do you do this? And like, the creator of Llamas with Hats completely intended to have it be over with that 4th video. He wasn't planning on making anything else, but, like, so much of his audience was demanding, no, we want more, please give us more. And it got to the point where he was so sick of the requests that he decided, okay, like, greatest, like, example of, like, malicious compliance. You want more? Here, have more. And the 5th episode was him pulling a stunt that was still very much, like, messed up, but compared to the nuke in the faces, as, like, you know, as Paul put it, this just doesn't really hit the same way anymore. And the more Llamas with Hats went on, the more crazy and the more Carl tried to one-up himself, to the point where there was nothing more to one-up. So, like, that was kind of like the creator's way of telling his audience, like, I understand you guys want more, but there comes a time when you have to let sleeping dogs lie. When you have to let the joke just remain the joke that it is.
I only had so many versions of this joke.
Exactly. which, like, you know, I think is a very important lesson to learn.
The unfortunate thing is, I think a lot of shows and a lot of characters just have a set shelf life that, like, well, maybe not a set, like we can't predict how long it's going to stay funny for, but like
that
nothing is meant to last forever.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, how long can you, like, keep... Like, for example, like, people still love The Simpsons. People still watch Family Guy, and those shows have been running on forever.
The Simpsons kind of, and, like, your mileage may vary. I think The Simpsons is kind of on an uptick again with being pretty funny.
Yeah, like, and again, like, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, I personally am not the biggest fan of The Simpsons. I don't watch The Simpsons on a regular basis.
I'm not a huge Simpsons guy either, yeah.
But when, like, you have something going on for that long and it's still, like, one of the most watched series and, like, the most watched cartoon in history, like, you got something there. I can understand you want to keep it going.
I also kind of wish we could stop rebooting things and have more, like, good new stuff. And I know they're afraid people aren't going to watch the new stuff, but, like, I love Futurama, but, like, I wasn't really excited for it to get rebooted on Hulu. I'd rather... Same with King of the Hill. I love King of the Hill, but
yeah,
I would rather those writers make a new idea than...
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, too, because, like, relating this back to video games, right?
Yeah.
I enjoy the fact that because of the natural evolution of video games and because of how video game genres work, like, that medium in particular has the freedom to keep things going while still keeping things fresh.
Yeah.
Like, The Legend of Zelda, Mario, and, like, going outside of the realm of Nintendo, like, actually, now that I think, Nintendo in particular, like, has that philosophy of making things so memorable and enjoyable that they are able to keep it going, like, almost indefinitely. It's actually rather impressive.
Yeah.
But, like, because of the way video games evolve, not just, like, in terms of technology, but also in terms of genre, like, I'm gonna use Mario and Zelda as an example. Mario is such a universally, like, versatile, like, medium, or, like, versatile, like, game series, that you can go anywhere with that, and, like, chances are you're going to, like, keep things going and, like, find something enjoyable. Like, hey, yeah, Mario can go on his, like 100th platformer, like, ever, but, like, they're still gonna find ways to spice it up, and if you're tired of that, hey, go, like, beat people up in go-karts.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, The Legend of Zelda is like, hey, you guys want to try something new? Here's Breath of the Wild.
It's certainly not stagnating.
It's not. And I think part of that, at least, like, from my perspective, a lot of that does have to do with how the medium works in general. Especially because it takes way longer to make games.
Yeah.
And they have a longer shelf life. Because they're not half-an-hour shows that you're going to release an episode every week. You're releasing a game that's going to take you, like, 7 to 10 plus hours that you're going to pick up every now and again, and they only release those, like, maybe once every 3 years.
Yeah. I think the shows that last long, that do the best with lasting a long time, usually have evolved in some way that, like, you know, season 1 is very different than season 8. Like, you can see how they've changed over time.
Sorry, I'm trying to, like, figure out how to go about this.
This is a tough one, yeah.
I think I know what I'm gonna do. We're doing this again.
Okay.
We're gonna go with Garrick, the man of consistency.
Garrick Mock.
Great, now I want a character named Mock. We're also going to use Mulder to heal him.
A suggestion I'd give any people who write stuff, I remember I said this back when we were in Assassins. This was like a note that I gave to everybody at the beginning about, you know, Assassins is a show about all the people who ever in history who ever tried to kill U.S. presidents.
Yeah.
That I said, like, in finding characterization, I don't... If you're, like, thinking, like, okay, what describes my character? How do I want to act? I want to, like, outlaw the word crazy. Because, like, sure, all these people are crazy, but that's going to be, like, not helpful for writing them. Like, a character should never be just crazy. You should try to, like, understand the character's thought process to write them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the same thing for the word stupid. That if whatever you're writing, if you want a character who's less bright than everybody else, and, like, that's great and that could be a really great thing, I would avoid just using stupid. That's, like, just using the word good. Or, like, find something more descriptive for that and try and figure out more, like, mechanically what it is that makes them, like, not think the way everybody else does.
I guess, like, to give that, like, a more tangible example, right? You were talking about Assassins. My character that I played when we did Assassins was Giuseppe Zangara, right?
Yeah.
Like, calling him crazy would be accurate,
yeah,
but a more accurate description would be desperate.
Yeah.
Like, Zangara was desperate.
He was desperate, he was tortured, he was just looking for an answer to his problem as soon as possible.
And, like, it got to the point where, like, it drove him to the point of, like, doing something insane.
Yeah. So when somebody says to him, like, oh, well, have you tried shooting President Franklin D. Roosevelt? He's, like, at such a point of desperation, he's like... okay, sure, capitalism is making me sick, okay.
Yeah, like...
Alright.
I got nothing to lose here, might as well.
I've tried everything else.
Like, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. A character could just, like, never look at the big picture. The character can have a one-track mind.
Mm-hmm.
The character could be so self-conscious about looking smart that they use words they don't understand all the time. That's like Michael Scott from The Office. It's not just that he's stupid, it's that he needs everyone to think he's smart. So he's using words he doesn't know all the time.
Another example, if I may be so bold in, like, bringing this one up, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned one-track mind to the point of maybe even, like, fixated. One example I can think of is Laios from Delicious in Dungeon.
Laios has his one hyper-fixation. He loves monsters.
Yeah, and, like, does that make him a stupid character? No. Like, it makes him a little bit, like, short-sighted.
Yeah.
It makes him blind to, like, a lot of other things that go on.
There's a lot of scenes where the party's trying to figure something out and he's just completely not on the right page.
Yeah, but when he has moments of brilliance, does Laios have moments of fucking brilliance?
Yeah.
Like, the dude, like, there's more value to a character who, like, you know, one might describe as dumb, but if you make a character dumb for dumb's sake, you're setting them up for failure. Give them a reason as to why they are like that and make it endearing.
Yeah, at least if they're supposed to be, like, an important character or, like, a three-dimensional character.
Like, if you got a character like, what's a good example? I guess you could call it the village idiot.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a village idiot in your story, okay, like, I can understand that. But don't make the main character the village idiot unless that's the whole point of the thing.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of the narrative you're trying to sell, you know what I mean?
Like, Season 1 Family Guy, it wasn't that Peter Griffin was dumb, it was that his understanding of the world came from television. So, at least in the early seasons, he was always trying to solve his family problems the way they would on television. And then hijinks ensue.
One example, actually, I want to bring up, and I remember talking about this with Josh Scorcher, right? He was in the My Little Pony, and I can't believe I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
There's, one character in, the game, or, there's one character in the series called, Snips.
Okay.
Or not Snips, Snails. Was it Snips or Snails? I don't remember, but it was one of those two.
Snips and Snails and Puppy Dog Tales?
That's the whole spiel.
Okay.
There was this one episode where they were playing, they were playing a sport, and they were putting together a team for, like, this sport that involves a Pegasus, a regular pony, and a unicorn for the whole magic thing, right? And Snails got invited to join the game because he's a unicorn who can use levitation. Turns out he's really good at what he does. This Black Gem?
It looks like Snips and Snails are two different characters.
Yeah, they
like
are.
each other a lot.
It's the taller one.
Okay.
But yeah, Snails, like, Snips and Snails started out as the stupid characters, right?
Yeah.
When, I think it was Trixie who got, introduced. But, then, later on, they had the episode where they were doing the whole sports ball thing. And, Snails turned out to be actually really good at it because he wasn't, like, he was slow. He was not the most intelligent character, but he had this, like, Zen savant type of thing where he's just like, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm just cool, I'm just doing my thing, and he can hyperfixate on whatever task he's working on at the time, which is why he's really good at catching these balls with the basket. And one line he says is like when the characters were struggling about, like, thinking about all the pressure it is to play in front of a crowd and, you know, like, try to like impress everyone, he's just like, you can do what I do and not think about it. Seriously, I don't think about anything. Ever. And there's wisdom in that.
Yeah.
Like, there is genuine wisdom in that. Never thought I'd bring up My Little Pony on my channel.
Here we are.
Yeah.
At
Like,
the end of floor 7.
I'm not I'm not a fan of the show, but it has its moments. Even I'll admit that. I can...
Move over, Glenn.
To finish my thought, I can thank Josh Scorcher for that, so thank you, sir. Also, fucking excuse me?
Yep, we unlocked Valter.
Hi, Valter! Well, well!
Hey, didn't you, kill Glenn? This is a little awkward. And he comes with his own Philly shield. That's awesome.
He comes with his own Philly shield, and he's our first Wyvern Knight. We've never had a Wyvern Knight in this game.
Yeah.
Again, because we didn't end up using Cormag or promoting any of the other flyers.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me actually look at the next map and see if maybe we can use Valter. Who the hell? It looks like we may have to!
Flyers might come in handy here.
Oh my god.
I mean,
more moguls.
Vanessa's gonna be better.
Dude, like, Vanessa...
Oh. Okay. Yeah, give that over to Mulder.
I was planning on using that Master Seal. No, it turns out we don't have to. Do any of these moguls have Shadow Shot? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, you know, when we start next episode, the first thing you're gonna end up doing is looking at all this again.
I know, but I like to... I
Yeah,
like
you're
to have...
previewing, okay. I get it.
I like to have at least some semblance of an idea before I come in to know what I'm going to, like, at least do later. And
I don't see any shadow shots.
I don't see any shadow shots either. I think we're good, so... yeah, I think this is that one chapter scenario where bridges are going to start forming slowly.
Oh, okay.
And then, like, we go from there, because, I'm sorry, like, you look at this. We don't have enough flyers to fill all these spots. You know bridges are going to show up.
Yeah.
So, I'm just hopeful we don't get surrounded, but we'll worry about that later. So, next time on Let's Play Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, Ruins Room 8, everybody.
We got 3 more. 3 more floors.
Whew, we got this. We got this. Thank you for joining us, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
So who would win in the Fairly Odd Parents Battle Royale? No, the SpongeBob Battle Royale.
Oh, gosh. We'll open the next episode with that. How about that?
Yeah. Probably Sandy, though.
I mean, of the main cast, maybe, but if you look at the extended cast, Poseidon?
Oh, dang, yeah.